everyone, and welcome back to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of our subscribers. Thank you all for subscribing to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. Thank you for your love and for your support. Okay, guys, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew a princess dart top with basque waistline. So you can see the picture that I showed you all earlier on the thumbnail. And these are the measurements that I'm going to be making use of in this video. So you can see what I have here. Okay, so the bust measurement that I'm making use of is actually 38 inches, and then the under bust measurement is 31, and then the waist measurement is 37. Then my bust point is 10.5. The under bust is 13.5. Then the full blouse length is 22 inches. So the back measurement, the length of the back is going to be 17 inches because the front is a basque waistline. So that these are the measurements that we're going to need for this video. So this is the fabric that I'm going to be making use of. It is an Ankara fabric. So I'm going to use maybe about 2.5 yards because it's going to have puff sleeves, about 2.5 yards from this. But we're going to be drafting directly on our fabric. So what I'm going to do, we're going to draft on our lining. So I'm going to cut out my lining from my roll of lining, and then we will draft on the lining and then transfer to the fabric. So it's easier that way. So if you are new to the channel, you're highly welcome. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to Stylish Naija YouTube channel, and also hit on the notification bell to get an update whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to register for our online class, you can see my number just scrolling through the screen. Send me a message on WhatsApp, and then I'll give you the details of the classes that we have available. Okay, guys, so let's get started. Okay, guys, so you can see I've labeled my lining. The first line I have here is my bust point line, which is 10.5, under bust waist, which is going to be the back, and then I have my full measurement, which is 22, and then I added about 2 inches allowance, or 2.5 thereabout. So in cutting this, we're going to come to the shoulder line. So I'm going to use this top point as my shoulder line. The shoulder measurement that I'm making use of is 15 inches. So I'll mark 7.5, divide 15 into 2, 7.5, and then I'm going to add just about half of an inch for my stitching allowance. So from this point, if you notice I left a little bit. From this point, I'm going to mark 8 inches. So that 8 inches is still going to serve as my chest line, and it's going to serve as my sleeve point. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'll mark a straight line like this, and then I'll give it a nice curve. And then the next thing I'm going to measure now, I'm going to mark my dart. So for the dart, I'm using my bust palm measurement. So I'm just going to use 4.5, which is 9 inches. I'll mark it like this all across on my lines. And then I'll go ahead, I'll connect it to a straight ruler. And then I'm going to come to the under bust measurement. So on the under bust measurement, I'm just going to go ahead, I'll use 1.5 inches for my dart. So I don't want a very big bust here. So I'll mark it like that on this line like this. And then from this point, I'm going to go ahead on this point, I'll come up by 1 inch. I'll just elongate it by 1 inch, and then 1 inch downward. So just mark it like this. And then from this point, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I'm just trying to get a curve. And then from this point, I'll just come on my line here. So I'm using half of an inch to do my shoulder slope. So that's the line that I left earlier. That's the inch. And then from this point, I'm going to check what I have, and then I'll come to the middle, a little bit below. And then from this point, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I'll blend it into this point. You see how easy it is to actually draft a princess dart. So you can, I don't want a very big bust here, so that is why I'm making use of 1.5 inches. And then from this point, what I'm going to do, that 1.5, I'm just going to maintain it and take it downwards. So when I get to this down part, I'll reduce it to about 1 inch I'll just float it like this. So that is how simple this is. The next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to add up my full body measurement. So 38, when you divide 38 into 4, I'm going to start imputing all of my measurement, all of them divided into 4, divided into 4, divided into 4, and then I'll go ahead and impute them on it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. So when you divide 38 into 4, so you see what I have here, I'm just going to mark it. And then I'm going to add 3.5 inches as my stitching allowance. So use your own applicable measurement, please. So I've marked it here, and then I'll come to the under bust point 31. You divide it into 4. I'm going to mark what I have here, and then remember our allowance that we took out, that's for our that. I added it back, so that is, you can see the 1.5 here, and then I added the same 3.5 inches that I use on the bust part for my allowance. And then I'll come to the waist part also. I added my 37 divided by 4, and then the same allowance here. That's the allowance, the 1.5, and then you add the stitching allowance. So I'll mark it like this. And then what I have here on the waist, I'm just going to repeat it at the down part of my blouse. And then I'll go ahead, I'll mark. So you can see what I have. So that is how simple it is. So for this part, because I don't want it to get truncated, I'm just going to add 1 inch to it. Okay, so I'm done. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut out the body form first before I continue. So I'm going to place this on the back pattern to cut out my back pattern. So for the back pattern, I'm going to add a zip allowance to it so you can see what I have. So like I said, the back is 17 inches. So it's not as long as the front. So for the back dart, I'm just going to add my regular dart to the back piece. So this is my zipper allowance. And then from this point, I'll mark my 4.5. I'll just put a notch here. So it's going to have a regular dart. So I'm done with this. The next thing now, we're going to cut this out. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll stitch it. So after joining, I'll create out the basque waistline. So you can actually do that first, but I'll just leave it. I'm going to cut out on my main fabric right now. Okay guys, so I finished cutting all of my pieces. So these are my lining and then the fabric. So I'm going to go over to my machine now and go and stitch. So I'm going to actually start stitching from the down part. So I'll go ahead, I'll couple them. I'm not going to pad this dress. I'm not padding it. So I'm just going to start stitching from the down, and then I'm going to go ahead, I'll stitch it all the way through to the armhole area. And then after stitching, before I'll come back and cut out the basque waistline and then the neckline out. So I'll just go ahead and do that right now. Okay guys, so I finished stitching. So this is the back and then here's the front. So I'm going to place them together like this, and then I'll go ahead and mark out the neckline. So for the neckline, I'm going to use 3 inches width like this. So this is 3 inches, and then I'm going to mark it down. For the front neckline, I'm going to use about 5 inches wide. So I'll just go ahead, I'll mark it like this. And then for the back neckline, from this point, I'm just going to go ahead, I'll mark it. And then for the back neckline, I'll use 1.5 inches. So that's the back neckline, and then this is the front neckline. So that's all. And then for this, from this part, I'm just going to maintain my shoulder slope. And then after that, I'm going to come to the waist. So this is the back. You can see where the waist is. So from that point, you make sure that both of them, they correspond on this part. I'm just going to go ahead. So I'm trying to check out the front measurement. So you can see my 22. So I'll add 1 inch because I'm going to stitch it. So I'll just create it like this to create the basque effect. And then make sure that they correspond on this part. So that's just all for that. And then I'll go ahead like this. I will cut it out, making sure that on this end, both of them are they are the same. So you can see, just make sure you blend it in like this. Okay, so make sure that they are blended. So I'll go ahead, I'll transfer to my lining. I'll transfer to my lining and then I'll stitch. So in stitching, I'm just going to the back piece, I'll open them up. So I'm not doing an inseam finishing, so I'll just turn on the neckline and then turn the side and then the down part. So I'll go ahead, I will do that and then stitch them, iron them, and then come back and show you how we're going to cut out the sleeves. Okay guys, so you can see, so I finished joining them together. Like I said, I did not do an inseam. So the zipper allowance part, I joined it together and then iron it flat so you can see the front part of our dress. So the next thing we're going to do now, you are going to take out your full body measurements. So I'm just going to go ahead, just check all of my measurements and then I'll just impute them. And then the down part also. So now all of your measurements, you're dividing them into two. And then I'll mark it like this. And then I'll go back to my ironing table. I'll stitch it on the side, making sure that the sides, they correspond on this end, this part here like this. So after stitching, I'll go and give it a good ironing and then I'll come back and show you how we're going to cut out the sleeve. It's a simple balloon sleeve. Okay, so we're going to cut our sleeves now. So I folded my fabric. So for the down part of my sleeve, so my armhole, so you just measure around your armhole. So I'm going to be pleating the top part. So I'm not going to, what I have here is 10 inches for my armhole. So I'm going to be using maybe like 15 inches. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'll mark the length of my sleeve. So I want my sleeve to be like 15 inches. So I'm just going to make it 17 inches. So I'll be able to create my elastic case. So this is going to be the length. That's from this point to this point. So I'm going to just mark what I want. So I'm going to use about 17. Since I'm using the free hand, I'm not doing slash and spread. So from this point, I'll mark like 4.5 inches here. And then that 4.5 inches, I'm just going to float it like this into this point to create my sleeve, to create the arc like this. So I have even almost like 20 inches, but I'm not going to use 20. So 18 is okay. So I'll just mark it down. And then the down part, okay? So the down part of my sleeve, also, I'm going to be adding elastic on this down part. So I'm going to use about 17 inches for the wideness. So my round sleeve is about 12. So because I'm going to pleat it, I'm going to use elastic. And so that is, so you see how simple it is to cut your balloon sleeves. So I'm just going to go ahead now. I will create an elastic casing for this down part of my sleeve. Just create a casing and then I'll pass my elastic through it. And then this other part I'm going to fix on my sleeve. So I'll just pleat this top part and then fix this part into my sleeve. So I'll go ahead now. I'll just make out the sleeve. And I'll show you how to do that. Okay, guys. So at the end of the day, so you can see how our basque waist top is looking like. It actually came out really beautiful. So thank you so much. If you find this video helpful, I would appreciate if you hit on the like button. If you have not subscribed to Stylish Naija YouTube channel, please subscribe. Thank you so much. I'll